So, you were doing some hiring for your team. What are you looking for? I imagine you're probably looking for a variety of different competencies, backgrounds, and skills. But one of the things that I think everybody should keep in mind when they're hiring for their team is hiring good teammates. Nobody says, hey Ben, I'd like to hire some bad teammates. But I also don't think people invest the time in finding out if somebody is going to be a good teammate or not. Today, in this video, I'm going to give you 5 behavioral interview questions that you can ask to find out if someone you are going to hire is going to be a good teammate. Let's go. I'm not going to bore you with stats. A simple Google search would show you that hiring good teammates matters. People who belong to a well-oiled machine and a good team where there's good team camaraderie are more effective. When they feel more emotionally safe, they are more productive. You, as a manager, should want that for your people. But how do you go about finding it? Today, we're going to talk all about that. This is Ben with Ben Talks Talent. If you're seeing this on YouTube, please take 1 second and like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you never miss one of my videos. If you're seeing this on LinkedIn, you can still like and comment, but when we're done with this, do me a favor, go over to YouTube and subscribe because I release more content there. So let's jump into it. So the first question that I want you to ask when you're interviewing people for your team is, tell me about a time where you had to work closely with someone whose personality was different from yours. This is a great interview question to ask because the reality is you should want people who are different on your team. You should want diversity of thought. You should want people with different backgrounds and experiences because when you have discussions, it's going to lead them to have different ideas, thoughts, and ways to go about achieving success. So that is really important. But one of the things that you'll find out when you build a team is that not everybody gets along with everybody. Sometimes people collide. You want to avoid that whenever possible or have those disagreements be as productive as possible. And one of the ways you can find that out is by asking a question like this. When you ask this question, it forces people to go back and think about some of the times where they've had some sort of conflict at work. What you're looking for here is somebody who is positive about it. They're speaking in a positive nature. They spend more time talking about the solution than the problem. And their communication with whoever it was that they were having a disagreement with is mature and was effective, right? So that is what you're looking for. The next question is, give me an example of a time you faced a conflict while working as part of a team. This is a really great question. It's almost like a step 2 from the first question you asked. The reality is conflict happens, right? There are going to be times where you encounter conflict at work, but how you handle it is probably the most important part out of this whole thing, right? When you get into disagreements, when you have someone who you're having trouble working with, how are you able to deal with that situation? Are you able to deal with it in a mature manner that doesn't disrupt the feng shui of the team? That's what you're looking for. So when this person answers this question, you want them to talk about it in a mature way. You want them to recognize that they understand the impact that their conflict could have on the success or failure of the team and speaks to it as such. It's a great question, the way they answer this, the maturity, the depth at which they go to explaining how they resolve the issue. It's going to tell you a lot about what kind of teammate they're going to be. The next question is, describe a time where you struggled to build a relationship with somebody important. How did you handle it? This one's really neat because not everybody's gonna have like a specific example for this. This is one of those questions where if someone goes, I don't know if I have a good example, I'd probably let it pass. But when they're talking about this and they're talking about, what strategies they use to make a connection, it'll tell you what kind of networker they are, what kind of person they're going to be, how strategic they are for their career, and then the steps they can take to proactively build relationships and bonds. Again, for me, if someone didn't have a great answer to this, I don't know if it would be the end of the world, but I would find it really encouraging if somebody came to the table and they had a great answer to this question. They were able to answer it with a solid answer. It was strategic. They were able to show you and demonstrate how they built a bond. I would be very encouraged by that. Anybody who has a really great answer to this is probably going to be a pretty great teammate. So this next one's a really interesting one, and I like asking it. It starts like this. So we all make mistakes that we wish we could take back. Give me an example of a time that you wished you'd handled the situation differently. I like this question because it starts off with a permission-based statement. right? It says, look, we've all been there, right? So it kind of disarms them a little bit, letting them know, hey, it's okay if you haven't handled every situation perfectly. You're a human being, that is bound to happen. And then it encourages them to share what it was. So obviously what you're looking for here as a hiring manager is you're looking for somebody who, one, is honest, right? Somebody who shows the self-awareness enough to go, you know what? I did this wrong. And they say it in a way which is mature. And then you want to hear how they've demonstrated that they've moved past it, right? What have they done to show that this was a mistake, I wish I had done it differently? And if there's no conclusion as to this is how I made the situation right, you know, I'd kind of wonder where that is. I'd probe on that actually. If they don't give you that piece of information, I'd ask a secondary question. I'd be like, so what happened? What did you do to resolve that issue? Was that an issue you encountered moving forward with that person or in that exact situation? Whatever it is, I would dig. But I like this question because it allows people to be vulnerable in the interview process. It allows them to admit fault. And I find when people are able to do that, they're the type of people you want to work with, because I think one of the hardest things to get around working with when you're on a team is somebody who acts as if they are infallible, right? They can do no wrong. They never make a mistake. That is very hard to partner with. Those people are going to be hard to ideate with. So somebody who can admit fault, is mature about it, and shows how they were able to grow from it, that's a great sign. Let's go to the last one. This is an awesome one, and if you could only ask 2 of these questions, I would ask this last one and this one, because this is one that people are likely to encounter frequently. So tell me about a time you need to get information from somebody who is not very responsive. How did you handle the situation? The reality is, all of us have experienced this, right? All of us had needed information from somebody else and they weren't getting it to us as quickly as possible, right? Or as quickly as we would like. Now, sometimes you have to own this, right? If you don't give them a timeline, you can hardly be mad at someone for not adhering to something they don't know exists. But there's also the cases where you send someone something and they don't respond within a reasonable amount of time. So how do you handle that? The way someone handles this, the way they navigate this often occurring / tricky situation will tell you a lot about their emotional intelligence and the way they're able to navigate difficult situations in the workplace. So this is a great one. Again, you're looking for somebody who, you know, tells the story in a calm manner, right? They're mature and professional about the situation. They talk about it, they spend more time in the solution, and they talk about how they were able to meet in the middle with someone. They were able to connect and communicate why their responsiveness is important and imperative to the success of their team or the project that they're on. So somebody who handles it in a cool, calm, and collected way, somebody who's able to make a connection, somebody who's able to convey the importance of it and ultimately impact change. That is what you were looking for. So there you go. Those are 5 great questions. If you are hiring for your team and you care about teamwork, which you should, and you need some questions, feel free to use this. Good luck in hiring. Thanks for coming by. Take care.